Stacy of Ladybug Scraps, and I'm going to scrap a page for you today. I, right now most of us are in the middle of a quarantine and stuck at home, and I haven't really scrapbooked much during this quarantine because I really haven't found my creative juices, honestly. I've kind of had a little bit of a block going on. But I decided today that I'm going to scrap some pictures from a walk my daughter and I took yesterday. They opened up our parks and we social distanced, and we decided that unlike our normal 6 times around the neighborhood, we needed something different and a change of pace. So she and I went and walked for an hour and a half almost at the local park, and I took a few pictures as we walked, so I figure I'll scrap that today. Anyway, so I've got my Photoshop open over here. Don't mind some of my other crazy projects going on. Anyway, so I'm going to hit create new. And if this is your first time watching one of these, welcome. I have a file type, whatever you want to call it, project saved. And this is a 12 by 12 document created at 300 DPI so that I know that my project will print beautifully. And here's over here if you need to change anything. But this is how I like to start. So I've got 12 inches by 12 inches by 300 DPIs. That is dots per inch. Anyway, so I hit create. And I like to start with a transparent background. It doesn't matter if you have a transparent or a white for a scrapbook page. Here it is. Here is my document. My grids are currently open because the last thing I was working on, last thing I was working on, I was cheating. I was trying to rearrange the playroom and I didn't want to move the furniture. So I opened Photoshop and made a room the size of the room I wanted to rearrange and little pieces of furniture out of the shape tool and drug it around because I didn't want to have to drag all the furniture to see what would fit where. Anyway, so yes, I had the grids on for that. I don't always start with my grids on. But sometimes if I know that I'm doing a project that or a page that I want to know, I want to have lots of layers, number one. Number two, I have lots of photos. And sometimes when I'm doing something like this, I want all of my photos to be the same size. So I am actually going to use the grid this time. But normally I would just turn it off. And if you want to turn it on and off, it's up here in view. Then you click show. And over here, see the little grid? So I'm going to uncheck it. There, my grid disappears. The gray and white square checkers just means it's a transparent background. Anyway, I'm going to turn this back on because I actually want this on right now. And for my photos over here, these are the photos. They're from my cell phone. They're nothing fancy. I did edit this one a little and a couple of these in Lightroom, an app on my phone, just to brighten them a little bit. I always find cell phone photos to be just a smidge darker than what I really like, and I didn't take my big camera out with me. Anyway, so I'm going to use this photo, not this one, because I like it a little lighter. And so that means I have 9 photos over here. So I might actually only use 8. We'll see, 8 or 9. Anyway, what I know I want is a square photo. So I'm going to click my shape tool. My square is already selected. And I'm going to draw a square. And then I'm actually going to duplicate this square and go to the bottom one. And I need it just a little tiny bit bigger. So I'm going to click my move tool. Let me zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So the bottom one is actually going to be my mat around my photos. So I'm going to increase it by 1 pixel in each direction. And then I'm going to use my arrow tools on my keyboard to just bump it so that it is exactly. Now I know my other square is right here. Now if you make these different colors, it makes them easier to see, but I've done this so many times that I don't really need them to be different colors. Alright, so that's the square I've got to start with. I'm going to group these both together. I'm going to link them, lock them together with this little lock tool because when I move them, I want them both to go at the same time. And because I'm doing multiple photos on this page, I'm actually going to duplicate this a handful of times till I get my 9 sets. So now I have, I've counted correctly anyway. 9 photo areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoop. Something moved with something else. Did I not count right? Maybe I didn't count right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, that means I moved a couple at the same time. Yep, my top ones were all selected together. All right, so I do have 9. Anyway, so I'm going to put this one in the middle. And let's see. My guidelines there's one. There's my guidelines. All right, so this photo is now in the dead center of my page. And I'm going to put these ones around it. It doesn't need to be exactly perfect because I think I'm going to add a little tilt to them. But I want them somewhat close to where they need to be. So I'm just dragging them over. And I am using the grid to help me get them all lined up. And you'll see these little pink lines pop up too. So like these two are not in the right spot. There we go. So there's my photos and matting to go underneath of them. So now I'm going to come over here to my photos. And I'm going to put the one of Allie and I in the middle. So I just make sure I'm on the layer of it. Actually, I can turn my grid off now for now, because sometimes I actually find it to be very distracting to have it on. And I'm going to resize my photo to fit where it needs to be. I'm going to right click, create a clipping mask, so it drops my photo right in and locks it into the layer I need it locked into. And just drag it over to where I need it to be. So there's Allie and I. And now I'm going to start dropping in some of the other pictures from our little walk. Right click, create a clipping mask. And you'll notice like when I click on it to select it, you'll see the square actually looks bigger than what it is. That's because these layers are locked together. So I've got my photo layer, well, the photo shape layer, and the mat. And then I'm locking in or putting the picture on top of just the smaller square. And lots of things were blooming when we were walking. Some pictures I am not going to shrink too much because I just want to focus in on the blooms. Actually, I'm going to not put that one there. I'm going to put this white flower down here, break it up a little bit. I have no idea what kind of tree this is. Somebody asked me that on Facebook when I posted my pictures yesterday after our walk. I have no idea. I am not very good at knowing nature. So, anyway. All right, let's see. I've got some pink ones going on here too. So let's see. I'll put this one here. And I like this corally one. This one's a little fuzzy. I was really zoomed in trying to get this tree. It was on a hill, not real close to me. Now, let me close this little window. Pops up. Yes, I know. I'm over my quota for videos anyway. All right. And let's see. Let's do this little path. Yeah, it was a beautiful day to escape being in our house and take a nice walk. Alrighty, what am I missing? This pink tree, and I think the little purple flowers. And I think I've gotten everything. It would be nice. I actually wanted to go back and walk again today, but it's raining, so we can't. These little violets were growing right along the creek bed, and I just thought they looked so pretty. At least I think they're violets anyway. I'm not really sure, but they look like it to me. All right, now, before I go any further, I am going to hit save. So I come up to my save, I click save, and I want to check and make sure, well, it's on the last project I was working at. So that is where Photoshop always takes you to the last place you saved a project. And so I'm using a Dropbox folder for this, and it is a Sweet Shop kit I'm going to use. All right, and it is 2020. Yesterday's date was April 23rd. And a walk at Gore Creek Park. And I save my layered file as a TIFF because then it gives me the preview of the item in the folder. All right, so click save. And when you're doing a TIFF file, these are the settings you want. I don't ever mess with these. I learned them a long time ago, and this is just what I do. So you want a slower save, so it's a smaller file. And I don't know why we picked the rest of it, but we just do. So you click OK. So my photos are in, so I can get rid of my my picture folder right now. And this is my scrapbooking folder on my external hard drive. Currently, my kits are organized, and if you follow any of my other videos, you'll see this is something new. Anyway, I used to organize my kits and just have them all in one big giant folder because that was what worked for me at the time. And then I became a little more active in a couple of galleries and doing challenges, and I needed to remember what designers worked at what stores. So for me, it was then easier to switch my kit storage to sorting them by designer. So I know the kit I want to use is called Wildflowers, I think, and I believe it was by Kristen Cronin Barrow. So let me just double check. Yes, Among the Wildflowers. There we go. This is a newer one, I think, of hers, and I just got it, and I've only done one page with it so far, but it's so pretty. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so this is the kit I'm going to use for these because I did take a lot of flowery pictures. I know they're not wildflowers, they're trees mostly, other than the violets growing. But it was just very pretty, and I liked it. So anyway, I bought this kit. So I'm going to go to the top of my layers for now. And I'm going to pick a paper that would make a good background. Let me see. I've got pinks, purples, greens. Da, 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 da. I don't know. Let me see what this one looks like. Now I know that this is at the top of all of my layers, but that's okay because I'm now going to drag it down to underneath everything. All right. Nope, too busy. Not crazy about it. And now, because I have a layer there, I can just, oh, I like that one. That's pretty. I'm going to keep that for now. All right. And yes, so I forget what I was saying. Anyway, so I don't need this layer here, so I'm going to trash it. Let's see. So now I need to add papers to all of these little mattings around each of my photos. So I'm looking for her solids. And here they are. She's got 5 solids in this kit. So I'm going to use a couple of them. I'll probably just use 3 and alternate. So let's see, we've got a blue. And you drop it over your layer that you're working on. Right click, create a clipping mask. And now I'm going to go to the second one. And this one I'm going to do the pink because I don't want the pink mat on my pink flowers. I don't think I do anyway. And then the next one. Oh wait, there's more colors. I missed some. Silly me. Anyway, I like this dark blue. I kind of like that blue. I think it's going to make a nice pop. Nice contrast. Yeah, I like that. So, I like that blue so much so that I'm actually going to put it on this one. And this bottom one. Alright, then this one, oh, this is going to be that pink one. I guess that's alright. I guess that's alright. Yep. And then that means that these two will be this lighter blue. And then this last one will be the pink again. Alright, so real quick, I'm going to hit save before I go any further. So my file was saved, so if my power goes out or my computer acts up or Photoshop has an issue, whatever, I've got it saved. Alright, now I'm going to add some shadows just so I can see how these are going to look. And I'm clicking on my top layer over here in the layer palette. I'm hitting my shift key and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, not the very bottom back layer. I don't need a shadow on my background piece of paper, but I'm going to put a shadow on the rest of it. And I have two shadows I've been using that I made, so I'm kind of just, I think I like this one, a little bit deeper shadow. And yeah, I'm just zooming in. I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out a little bit. I think I'm going to pull this one down just a little so you see more of the branches. There we go. All right. And I'll hit save again just because. Anyway, now I'm going to make some clustering. So for my clustering, I'm going to go back to the top layer. I click on the top layer. When I make clusters, I like to start with some foliage or leaves. And different designers call them different things. Oh, excuse me. So let's see. I like this long, narrow one. And I'm going to do that one, duplicate that. And then I'm going to do my clustering in the corners for this layout. Da, 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 da. And I'm just dropping and dragging them over, resizing as needed. Oop, grab the wrong thing. And if you do that, you just come up here to edit, hit undo. That's what I was trying to grab. And layering for your clustering is it's a little bit of an art that it took me a little while for me to be comfortable with how I did it. Um, I just, I don't know, in the beginning when I did it, I always felt it looked weird. So when I go back and look at some of my older layouts, I'm not crazy about my clustering, but this that I've started seems to be pretty good. I don't know why I'm getting this little thing. Oh, yes, I know. I don't want to do video storage. Little warning. So in case you don't know, that was an Amazon Prime warning. We have Prime with kids in college and shipping stuff constantly. Anyway, Amazon Prime has free unlimited photo storage, but they do not have free unlimited video storage. So of course, it keeps asking me to upgrade my memory on it and pay for it, and I don't. So I do use Prime to store some of my photos. Um, I also use Backblaze, which backs up this entire hard drive and the external drives connected to it. And my videos are on there, so I feel like I don't need that. I do like Prime because I can't access these drives from my laptop if I'm on vacation or if I'm scrapbooking while we're watching TV, but I can access Prime, and it's really easy for me to download a couple of pictures from Prime onto my laptop or email them to myself or however I choose to get them to scrapbook otherwise. And I also am a little crazy about my memories. I like that Prime on the app on my phone. Number one, it also backs up all my phone photos, so I no longer have to plug my phone in and copy and paste everything over. I like that it gives me the memories for the day, so I can go on it and it'll say, 2 years ago this day, 3 years ago this day, 1 year ago this day, and show me all the different things that pictures from those days. All right, I don't want this one. This one's too big for right now. So I'm going to get rid of that. All right, so let me go back to my little, I like this little flower string. That's pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And look at the pretty shade of pink it is, too. Ooh. All right, so I'm going to toss that into my clustering. So yes, so when I start my clustering, I think that's what I was saying before I went off on a tangent. I like to start with my foliage. So I usually leaves, branches, greenery, that kind of stuff. And then I start with some flowers. So here's the flowers I'm going to be using. There's a lot of pretty pink ones in here and even pretty brown ones. So I think I want this flower and this blue one and this white one to be the bigger of my flowers. So I'm just going to kind of place them over here on my clustering. And anything you do can be moved as many times as you want it. All right, let's see. I know I need to drag this one back on top, I think. I don't like him underneath the blue flower. But I'm going to put him all the way up, and I'm going to move the blue flower up one. There we go. Now, as I'm over here looking, I would like a little more green foliage, like right where this little, right here. So I'm going to bump myself back down to the foliage and throw in something right there. Yeah. And I think I need a little another one. Oops. Over here. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go back up to my flowers, but I'm not going to go on top of these three big flowers because the rest of the flowers that I add, I want to be smaller. So let's see, do this brown, get some yellow in there, this little orangey yellow. I like these hot pink ones. I'm going to stick them in there too. And I might be doing something with this little white one. So I'm going to set him aside because he's going to go last. So I'm just going to shrink these to where I think they need to be and drag them over. This looks like a dandelion to me. Nice and bright and yellow. Now I'm going to zoom in a little right here because I'm actually going to pull these leaves up a little bit. And that flower, I think I want to bump it up just a little. Yep. So it's on top of the white one a little bit. And this one I'm going to just shrink a little and turn. So it kind of fits in there just a little better. I don't even know if that's the proper way to say it, just a little better. Anyway, bumping up this yellow one a little bit too. so that I can see the edges of him. I called the flower him, edges of it. All right, and I'm going to move this orange one over here. All right. And I actually think I'm going to shrink down this rose. I know it's up on top and I wanted it a little prominent, but I really like this big white flower popping out right there. Let me see. I think I need this little blue one in this space. So I need something. Something of a different color, but I need it a little lower in the layers. Right there. Like that. Yep. Now, remember this little white flower I said over here? Okay, so we've got him, and then we've got this little 3 scatter that I like. And this is a nice little pop of color. So I'm going to shrink them really small and bring them over here. Oops, they need to be up top. I forgot. Let me zoom back in so you can see them. So these are going to be really teeny little pop of color over here. And I was just spinning it. I grab it by the corner. When you see the little curved arrow, you can spin. When you're done, you just click commit. And I'm going to duplicate this little blue layer. And I'm going to put some of them over here too. And then this little white flower, he is going to be another little itty bitty thing like those little white ones or little blue ones. And I'm going to put a couple of him. Actually, let me bump him up to the top too. Duplicate. And to duplicate, you just right click on the layer on your layers palette. Click duplicate. And I'm going to give a couple of these around. Just kind of scattering. So I have a thing for odds. So this little white flower, I want to have a little extra of him up here. So I'm going to spin a couple of these so that they're not all going in the same direction. Alrighty, now let's see how this looks when I add my shadows. So I go to the top layer again, and I hit the shift key, and I drag this bar down to the bottom of that layer. And I can see what has a shadow already because it's in the layers palette. And I know I did my deeper shadow on this page, and I love how that just pops. Now, the one thing I am noticing, this clustering is a little bit bigger than what I would like for this page, so I can grab this corner, and because I have all of them selected, I can shrink the entire clustering down just a little bit. And I like this cluster so much, I do this a lot. You'll probably see this in a lot of my layouts. I'm going to right click while they're all still selected, and I'm going to duplicate the layers. And then I'm going to grab the corner and I'm going to rotate it so that it's the opposite direction, and I'm going to drag it up to the top. And I'm going to shrink this one just a little more. There we go. And before I go any further, I'm just going to hit save real quick. So now my layout is saving, and I'm really liking how this is turning out. Now, this kit also has some really cute word art and stuff. So let me make these a little bigger so I can see them. Oh, I like the butterflies too. And these little thistle-looking flowers. And I'll probably throw a few of them in too. But anyway, I'm going to go to where I saw the little word arts. And they were scripty. And they were cute. Alrighty. Alright, here we go. We've got wildflowers and spring. Oh, I like the transparent look of these. Oh, how pretty. Now, so you can't tell that over here, but when you drop it in over here, oh, I love how that looks. Bloom. Very nice. Nope, we're not putting rain in there. Oh, did I use beauty? I don't remember. Let me throw it in there. All right, so I have all of these little word art doohickeys. One, two, three, four of them. They're a little big for what I need, so I am going to shrink them all together and commit. All right, now let's see. Actually, this one should be wildflowers. We'll put beauty up here. And spring. Actually, maybe we'll put spring over here. And bloom. I do like this wildflowers one. So pretty. Now these, because I think they're made to look more like stickers, I'm not going to do my deeper shadow on them. I'm going to do the smaller one. And I might even have to change that because I don't like how dark it made it. So I'm going to undo that shadow. All right, and let's see, which one am I on? Am I on wildflowers? All right, I'm on wildflowers right now. And I'm going to play around with shadows. So up here is my selection of shadows. This is a very light one, but I still think I need it to be, whoops, lighter. So I'm going to double click that layer and come over here to the drop shadow. And I'm going to play with it. I want it to be lighter, number one, so it doesn't take away from the sticker look. And I think I want it to be a little smaller, so I'm going to change these each to 2 pixels and 2 pixels. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add another drop shadow because I like, most people when they have drop shadows, the shadowing comes from one light source, and so I don't know how to explain this. So it's either like coming from the top of your paper, shining down, or the side, shining across. So your shadows are only on one side. I prefer, and this is my own personal preference, to have my shadows across the entire item. So I spin this so that it is the opposite direction, which should be a 60. It doesn't want to do it for me. So now I'm going to manually do it. And I hit OK. So now this item has 2 drop shadows on it, which is what you'll see on all of my others. So one is going in one direction, one is going in the opposite direction, so that it creates a shadow around the entire object. And I'm going to copy that layer style. And because I like how that looks, it's not as dark as the other one, I'm going to paste it on the other ones so they have just that little bit of a shadow to them. And adding shadows to your digital layouts is what gives it a more realistic appearance. Otherwise, your layout is very flat. And that's okay too if that's what you're into, but that's not what I'm particularly into. So now I'm going to use a couple of these other little doodads over here, the little flowers I was talking about. There were some other ones too in here that were really pretty. And I'm creating just a very small cluster in this corner. Let me find where did those other ones go? Oh, here they are. So let's see, we've got this pretty blue one too. I'm going to put that blue one on the bottom and move this pink one so it tilts a little bit the opposite direction. All right, I like this little bit of purple as well. I always wondered what this flower was called. Lots of my neighbors have this growing in their yard, and I love it. It reminds me of little grapes and a hyacinth at the same time. And I have no idea if that's the name of it or not, but I think they're pretty. So anyway, this is a really thicker stem flower. So this I definitely want on the bottom of my clustering so it doesn't block this little pink flower up front. All right. And let's see this little thistle looking clover pink thing. I don't know what it's called. I just know it's pretty. That's all. So anyway, me zoom in down here, see how I want this to go. I think I'm going to use this one to kind of go this direction to create this little bit of a corner cluster. We've got this little pink one too. Whoop, that was a tall pink one. Let's just shrink him down some. I didn't think he looked that big. So, and we're going to put it under that other one. All right, now I need to get my little wildflower sticker out of the cluster itself. So I just clicked it and moved it up. All right, now I think I am going to need a little foliage, and I like this little ribbon too. So I'm going to drop this little ribbon in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of the green foliage. Let's try this one, but I'm going to have to make it smaller because I think it's pretty big. Yeah. Kind of remind me of like strawberry leaves. And tilt it, get it out of my way. Let's see, maybe I'll just put this one on the bottom. Yep. All right, now I'm going to go back to the top. And I'm not going to do a whole bunch of flowers like I did in the other cluster. I'm just going to do a couple. So I really like the pop of this white daisy looking flower. And a little pink. And I'm going to bump this ribbon up just so we can see it a little more. And I'm going to put a flower under the ribbon. I think I'm going to do, I was thinking blue. Actually, speaking of blue, I want this to be a little smaller. It's kind of glaring at me right there, and I didn't like it. All right, let's see. Let's try the blue one. But he needs to be smaller. And spin him a little. Let's see. Tuck it in there. Yeah. All right, now this little cluster I'm going to add shadow to. Oh, very pretty. I'm going to pull it down just a little because they're all still selected. And I'm going to make it just a smidgy smaller on the whole. Alrighty. And then save. Alright, now I still need a little something in this top corner. And it doesn't need to be obviously as big, but I want it to balance this little cluster over here. I say little, but it's really not all that little. But it's little compared to the first two. So I'm going to grab some foliage. Shrink it up. Drop it in. Oops, forgot to commit. I tend to do that a lot. Alright, so while I'm still talking about scrapbooking stuff, just curious, hopefully everybody is doing okay. I'm hoping that all of my scrapping friends are healthy still. We are all still healthy here too, but I hope it continues for everybody. I also hope the economic issues that are occurring aren't going to be too bad on the rest of us. The moment we're definitely a little tight on money, so to speak. My income at the moment is non-existent, and my husband cut his hours down, so he's not in danger as much. So we'll see. Hopefully that keeps us safe, and we're just hoping that we come out okay. But with paying for college, sometimes things get a little tricky. So we've got a lot on our plates right now with 4 children, which I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love having all of my children. I sometimes wish I had had a few more. People think we're crazy, or at least I'm crazy when I say things like that, but I love it. I love the craziness sometimes, most of the time. Whoops, I'm not on top of those leaves. And then, but yeah, well, my oldest is graduating college, so we don't have her college payments right now. But my second daughter, she will be finishing her sophomore year, and our third will be entering college, but she chose to do community college, which is wonderful for her. And we are very proud of her because she made a decision to do that also so that she's not strapped financially, and neither would we be. So I'm very proud of her for making those decisions. All right, I want a little bit of this blue over here. So I'm going to throw these little blue clustery flowers in my little cluster right there. So this cluster is not nearly as big as the other ones, but it's still just as pretty. Give it its shadowing. Very nice. Now I do think that this one down here needs some more of these like green solid leaves. That's my own preference anyway. So I'm going to add some more to it. Da, 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 da. Oops. And I like this one too. I don't know what kind of leaves they are. They kind of remind me of peppermint leaves. Ah, perfect. Perfect. Add my shadows to both of those. Beautiful. Now I'm going to hit save. And then I got to think of a spot to add a little bit of journaling. Let's see. Ah, da, 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 da. Is there any journaling tags? I know there's big journaling cards, but most of them have quotes on them. And I kind of just want a cute little tag. Let me see. If not, I'll just make my own. Da, 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 da. There's so many pretty papers anyway, so I could easily make one. And yep, I'm going to make one. Oh, I like that little banner too. That's cute. Anyway, all right, focus, Stace. Focus. All right, so let's see. I'm going to put myself back under the flowers, and I'm just scrolling down here. All right, I'm going to add a layer. And come over to my shape tool, and then I'm going to pick my little tag shape that I like. All right, I use these tag shapes a lot. I know. I'm going to go with this long, narrow one. And then I'm going to draw the shape on here. Now, I have to click the shift key on my keyboard right now because of what my settings are on. Now, the only thing I'm not particularly crazy about on this little shape is the holes. Now, I can easily hide them with a button later on, but I don't want to. So I'm going to click my paintbrush, and I'm going to find, as my paintbrush is load. Holy moly. Nice little solid paintbrush I'm on. Alright. I'm going to raster size this layer. And I'm going to paint these little holes in so that I don't have them. And then I'm actually going to duplicate this layer. And on the bottom one, I'm going to add a stroke to make it thicker. I'm going to raster size it. And then when I clip my papers to it, it looks pretty. My daughter is standing here laughing at me. I warned her I would be talking to myself. Oh, you know what? No, not pink. Not pink. Where's that yellow? There was a real pretty yellow paper. There we go. Yellow. So I'm going to drop and drag over top and create a clipping mask. And then I need a paper to go on top for my journaling. So I'm going to go back to the solids and go with this one. Add that over there. Create a clipping mask. And then I do need to add shadowing to both of these so that they appear realistic again. So there's the shadowing. And now I am ready to add a little bit of journaling. And then I will save my TIFF file. Then I will also save as a JPEG, and I'll show you. Just give me a moment to type in some journaling. Oh, way too big of a font. Way too big. So let's find something small. All right, so I really have a thing for handwritten fonts, especially for my journaling tags. This is my own personal preference because I kind of want it to look like I wrote it or somebody wrote it. Anyway, so now I know that I just typed way too much than what fits in that box, but that is no big deal to fix. So I'm expanding it a little. All right, now, and what was the date? I said yesterday was April. Oh, look, still can't see me. 23rd, 2020. Now, this is still just a little bit bigger for this little spot, so it's no big deal. I'm just going to select it all and make it a 12 point. And then actually, I want this to come in just a little and down. Whoop, too much. And I'm going to hit enter over here. So it brings it in a little too, and it kind of evens out the type. All right, so, and then I can just look at it, see if that's exactly where I want it. Let me double check for typos because I'm queen of the typos. Allie and I took a walk at Core Creek Park for a change. Ha ha ha. See, typo. Change of pace. Both becoming a bit bored with walking around our neighborhood. Yep. All right. Oh, you know what? I should add during this quarantine. God, I hope I spelled that right. So, because I'm also the queen of spelling things horribly, I admit that I will open up my phone and open a text message just to see if I've spelled it right. I do wish that my Photoshop, and maybe it does and I just don't know, Quura, whoop, see? I do wish Photoshop had spell check because I am a horrible speller. Antine. See, that was all I had spelled wrong? Good, that's not too bad. Not too bad. Maybe somebody else knows a little sneaky trick and if it has a spell check, but I haven't found one yet, so we'll see. All right, yes, neighborhood during this quarantine, yes. All right, now I'm going to hit save one more time. Now I cannot do my save as a JPEG until after this has completely saved. And I'm actually going to move my wildflower sticker down a smidge and play with it for a minute. So I'm going to have to hit save again anyway. No big deal. Yep, so now I'm going to hit save again. And then I'm going to sit and wait and let it do its thing. It tells me what it's doing down here, that it's still saving and it's 93% done. So I just got to let it do its thing. 94, 90. Oh, yay, it's done. Oh, wait, nope, it's doing the next save. Whoops. Silly me, I forgot I hit it twice already. Anyway, almost done. Da, 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 92. Oh, excuse me. Guess it's time for another cup of coffee. Got a little yawn going on. As soon as this is done saving, I will show you how to save for printing. All right, so save for printing, very easy. You come back to your file, you hit save as. So this is going to create a second file in your folder, okay? And you can keep it the same name. This is how I prefer to name my files. I never used to do this, so I've only started doing this probably in the last couple years. It goes by year, the date, and then a brief description of the page. Anyway, so instead of hitting TIFF, I'm going to come right here to JPEG. This is what you save to print. JPEG. Save. And this, you want at least a quality of a 10. I do not care how big of a file it is. All I know is I want this page to print beautifully. I want my quality to be good. I don't want fuzzy. I don't want pixelated. I want it to look good. So anyway, file of 10. Sometimes I'm on the baseline optimized, but mostly I use the standard. But as long as you're a quality of 10, you're good. You hit OK. It is now saving the JPEG file. And if I were to go to the folder that has both of them in it, I'll show you. All right, so this is a 2010 page, 2020 page, excuse me, I cannot talk. And it's April. Here it is, right here. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see. I'll make the whole folder bigger. Okay, so in here, these are the pages that I've done with Sweet Shop store kits recently. Anyway, so here is my layered version of that layout, the TIFF file. It says right there on there for you the size of it, or its dimensions and the size, the date it was created, and over here is the flattened JPEG. So when I go to print, this is the one that I will upload into my printing company, whether it be I'm making a book and I put it into Shutterfly, or whether it be I'm printing a page from Persnickety Prints. When you're looking at this folder, you'll also notice that there are 3 to most of my layouts, because a lot of times I also upload my layouts into the galleries at the different stores. So if there's anything too personal in it, I will blur it out. But you'll see there's a small JPEG over here, which is what this one is. So I'll show you right here. So I have the TIFF, my printing JPEG, and then this small JPEG, which is usually 600 by 600 pixels or 700 by 700. I have an app that does, or an action that does the 600 by 600. So that's usually what I do. And I try to keep it under 400 KB, and then I know that it will upload to most of the galleries. So I am now done. Thank you so much for coming along with me, and I hope I didn't ramble way too much for you. And I hope that you all stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. And I hope you get a little chance to scrapbook, and it is important that we even save some of these memories and feelings. I know some of us might not be having all too many good days. I know I've had a couple of rough days where things get weird and I get weird. But yeah, try to save your memories, and someday hopefully we can look back on some of these days a little bit of positiveness. And that's all. I hope you all have a happy, scrappy day. Thanks so much for watching.